welcome back to the second week of the annual physiology course. So, in the first week we talked about the basic framework of anatomy and physiology and different level of organization, the molecular level, the cellular level, the tissue level. So, from today onward, the second week we will be starting the different systems. So, where we really start? So, it always remain a very tricky question on me that where I really should start, because you can pick up any system. But then this time I decided we will start with something which is very close to us, very near and dear to us. So, every morning we wake up, we brush our teeth and get ready for our work. One of the foremost thing we do, we take care of our hair, isn't it? We put different kind of lotions or creams on our face, on our skin. Much before that, while taking shower or brushing our teeth, we use face washes in order to look nice. So, this is one part of the body which throughout the day, except when we sleep, we take care. This includes your nails, like if you remember during your childhood, we used to go to this, whenever we used to go to school, that in the choir or in the they used to ask, show your nails, nails, hair, skin. These are some of the very simple yet most fascinating structures. The structure which covers our whole body, the structures on which you spend a lot of hours, starting from manicure to pedicure to going to the hairdresser, using different types of creams and lotions. Not only that, there is a lot of biasness and prejudices about the skin color. Some are dark skin, some are bright skin, and those who have bright skin propagates like bright skin is the best way, whether it is movies, whether it is anything, which is a big time biasness, because those people who propagate such thing, to be blunt honest on their face, they do not believe biology, they do not believe genetics, they do not believe anything except a ego. But okay, keep that aside. What these are, your skin, hair, nails, all these things, and we spend money on this, right? All of you will agree with me on this. This falls under our very first system, what we will be dealing this week. Part of it, of course, is called integumentary system. So, this week our outline of discussion will be integumentary system and the system which forms the framework of our body, the skeleton. Mostly we will concern with the bones. So, these are the two systems we will be dealing with, and today's class and the next class we will be dealing with integumentary system. So, let us start this week. So, we are into week 2, and our framework is, this is what we are going to cover: integumentary system and plus skeletal system, where our thrust area will be bones, cartilage, and the framework of a skeleton on which our whole body kind of structured itself. framework of skeleton. So, this is what we are going to cover in the next 5 classes, where we will be spending 2 classes here and we will be spending another 3 classes here, which will cover up our week 2. So, let us start our journey with integumentary system. Integumentary system. So, whenever I talk about integumentary system, I have already introduced, we will be talking about skin, we will be talking about hairs, we will be talking about nails. So, even before I get into the tissue details or any of those very finer detailed structure which can be seen in the microscope, what all we know about skin? So, we know one thing, there are skins which peels out easily, especially skins in your, especially in the back of your toes. Okay. We sweat, right? All of you will agree. We all have our sweat and we use deodorants or something. All our skins have hairs on top of it, right? So, if I had to draw a skin, the first thing I will draw, if I had to keep my skin like this, the first thing will be, so these are the hairs, okay, and this is the skin layer, right. And second thing, we know that from this skin at times we see sweat and perspiration. And not only that, this sweat also has, some of us have smell on the sweat, some of us do not have a smell on the sweat. Apart from it, what we know about skin? We know it has a certain color preferences. Even within one individual, there are certain part of the body where skin is brighter. Say for example, think of this situation. So, look at my palm, this is very bright, right, it is very bright, and now look at here, this is dark complexion. Why is it so? Why this part is so bright and this part is so dark as compared to, if you see these two things, they are different, right. So, the third aspect, this is not even, you haven't even opened the microscope, you do not know anything, just by looking at it, these questions should strike you, the skin color. Okay. So, if you look at it, even without getting into any technical details, you can see that we already have numbered a bunch of things which needed to be answered. So, overall, if you look at it, just to start off with, as a layman, what all skin does, I mean, if I just have to kind of number them or enumerate them. So, some of the things which at least your parents or somebody or grandparents, somebody will tell you, the skin absorbs UV rays. Now, one of the thing which parents will always tell you, that come on, go out early in the morning in the sun, you will get vitamin D, that kind of stuff, right. We all have heard this at least once, for sure. What does that mean? Why in the early morning you have to go out and you will get vitamin D, from where vitamin D is coming? It's kind of very ambiguous, isn't it? We will talk about it, what does that mean? But definitely remember, your skin does absorb UV rays. So, when we talk about that your skin absorb UV rays, it means for something to absorb an electromagnetic radiation, which is light of course here, UV rays, you need some molecule to absorb it, right. It cannot happen in ether, it cannot happen in an empty space. So there has to be something on your skin, right? So this is how I was telling in the previous week. You have to develop your analytical skill. You have to think rationally. There has to be something, one-to-one correlation in nature, right? So for UV absorbing thing, there has to be something which we will put as in a question mark. How and what promotes this UV absorption? We will come later into this, how UV is getting absorbed. Okay, this is the point 1. The second thing what we know is for sure it prevents dehydration. Like you are walking in the sun, you drink water, but it's not that immediately all the water is being evaporated from your body. That means that the barrier, this layer, does not allow excess water to be lost from its surface. But think of it just for a minute, even think of it. Your whole body is huge amount of skin, right? If it allows the passage of water from your body outside without any clear cut mechanism or obstruction, then we'll get dehydrated every minute. That doesn't happen. Why that doesn't happen? We'll come back to this about the structure of the layer, the epithelial tissue which is forming this layer and how it prevents it. Okay, point 2. Point 3, to come back of what all the functions it does is it helps in preserving the body temperature. So depending on the season, whether you are in the winter months or whether you are in the summer months, your skin behaves differently. This you must have observed. Your skin completely have a different pattern how it behaves. Okay, this is, and we will come back to these, all these points, which is top of my head, I'm kind of picking up. The next point what I wish to highlight here is it tolerates all sorts of abrasions unless you really damage your skin. Tolerates all sorts of abrasion. In a sense, suppose I move my finger like this, or there's an abrasion, there's a frictional force like this, okay, but it doesn't get damaged unless otherwise I really go to a bad surface and hit myself. It generally never get damaged. It means this tissue layer prevents all forms of abrasion. These are just by looking at it, looking at your own skin, you can really figure it out. So now what we will do, we'll systematically differentiate what all is there. Skin, as I was saying, the amount of body coverage it does, it is considered as an organ system. Okay, this is an organ system, and as a matter of fact, this is one of the largest organ system of your body. And not only that, so the skin consists of, which is also called a cutaneous membrane, and there are different kind of companies who have used this word to sell products like Cuticura powder, body powders and all. Okay, nowadays you don't see them in the market, but these are some of the old stuff, which is also called, this cutaneous membrane is called the skin. So what all, putting an integral sign to tell what all makes this integumentary system. You have the hair, nails, and certain exocrine glands. Now, when I say this exocrine gland, this will bring you to think about sweat and perspiration. That happens because of those exocrine glands. And we will talk about the structure of those exocrine glands and how they look like. So, coming back, so overall the integumentary system, I am putting it as IS, integumentary system consists of skin, hair, nails and exocrine glands. These constitute the whole structure of the integumentary system. Now, from here what we will do, we'll move on to the next slide, where we will just classify them in two parts. So, that will be very easy. So, and then we will go into the structure of each one of them. Integumentary system. So, they are classified into two groups. What all I named, I will just now put a formal classification. One is called the cutaneous layer, the other one is called the accessory structures. Accessory structures. Now, in the cutaneous layers, you divide it into two parts. One is called the epidermis, the other one is called the dermis. The epidermis is the above, epi means above, and it is the superficial epithelial layer. We will come to that. What does that mean? Superficial epithelial layer, whereas dermis, which is the underlying area of connective tissue. So, now just let me enumerate all these accessory structures, then I will come to that. You will have hair, as I mentioned it, you have nails, you have multicellular exocrine glands. Multicellular exocrine glands. So, now if you look at my surface, body surface, the upper layer, what you see, this is that upper layer, which is your epidermis, okay, epi, upper layer. Just underneath this layer, just if I just kind of open it, is the dermis. Now, these are the nails, the accessory structures, these are the hairs and all those sweat and everything which comes out where you see it most profoundly, if you forget it, that is the exocrine gland. That is it. These are the 5 things which you have to kind of develop. You look at your body, this is what constitute your integumentary system. Now, we will talk about how these layered. So, the next level is the microscopy. So, if I take a section of this, how this will look in microscope, because the top top I have already drawn for you, right. So, this is how the top looks like. Now we will go on to slight microscopic detail to know about it. So, our next goal will be to talk about the microscopic image of the skin. Now, let us draw this. Okay. So, this is how the section I will be putting for you. Okay. So, this is the topmost layer what I am drawing. I am drawing a top. section of the topmost layer. We will talk in detail about these epithelial cell lining which is covering it up. It is a very tightly packed layer of epithelial cells, and it is this layer which prevents any form of dehydration, any form of unnecessary water loss, and not only that, this layer which prevent microbial infection to be kept at bay. It does not allow the fungus or microbia to enter your body. Okay. This is that topmost layer which extend on top like this. And on top of that, what you see are the hairs. These are the hairs. Okay. This is what you directly see. Now, underneath this layer, you have, if you take a cross section, you will see something very interesting. Underneath this layer, you will find something like this. It's a very ridges and furrow kind of a structure. Okay. So, out here, if you do a bit of a microscope, you will see pore-like structures which are coming out, and these pore-like structures are something like this. Okay. And we will name later. Now, if you follow one of these hairs, it will be something like this. Let me pick up a color like this for the hair, which is not of course the color of the hair, but just for your understanding sake. This is how the hair will look like. Of course, I have picked up a pink color which is not the color of the hair, but just for your understanding sake. Okay. And what we see is, we will come to that, what is that extra invagination which I drew. Okay. So, this is how the hair cross section will look like. Now, let me name each one of them, which will be very important. So, this is what you see is a regular hair, what you see here. Now, this is the pore of the sweat glands. This is what you see out here is, this is how pore of the sweat gland. Okay. Now, underneath you see this undulating layer. Okay. So, this layer is divided into two parts. This part, what you see is called the, so before this, just let me make a small correction. This part up to here is called the epidermis, or the topmost layer, all the way where you see this invagination of structure. So, up to this, where I am now putting the dotted line, this layer is the epidermis, the topmost layer, and you see there are rich nipple like protrusion from the next layer, that is called the papillary layer, or let me put it, this is called the papillary layer, which is papillary layer, and this papillary layer is part of the next layer, which is called the dermis layer. Okay. So, the dermis layer extend from here all the way almost up to this. This is the dermis, and here you are having the papillary layer, and followed by the papillary layer you have the next layer, which is the subcutaneous layer or hypodermis. So, the subcutaneous layer or hypodermis is underneath it all the way, which is essentially not part of the skin or bordering the skin layer. Subcutaneous layer or hypodermis layer. So, one important thing what I wish to highlight here is, so you see the papillary layer, you see the dermis layer, and the papillary layer is part of the dermis, and this is what you see is the sweat gland. These are the hairs, and this is called the sebaceous gland. This is where you see the hair follicle. This is those nipple like projections of the dermis, what you see, which helps it to increase the surface area. These are called the epidermal ridges. These are called the epidermal ridges, and this part what you see are the epithelial layer, which is called the stratified squamous epithelium. We will talk later about this, what these are. Stratified squamous epithelium. This is a type of epithelial tissue which is very tightly packed, and these cells of stratified squamous epithelial are called keratinocytes. Keratinocyte, which forms the upper layer of it, and these are very tightly packed. Okay. And underneath here, out here in the subcutaneous layer, you will see a wide range of blood vessels which are traveling. This is where you are having the arteries and the veins shown in different colors. The veins are shown in green and the arteries are shown in red. And out here you will also see a lot of those nerves endings out here. So, whenever you must have heard about this, the subcutaneous injections and all those things. So, subcutaneous injection means that the needle which you are being used for giving injection has to reach all the way down out here. That is what happens in the subcutaneous injection system. Okay. So, you can make this a structure way more complex, and we will make it a little bit more complex later. Apart from it, out here you will see something very interesting. This zone out here, which I am drawing in yellow, these are the fat deposits. These fat deposits which are present here are very important to safeguard the blood vessels which are traveling. So, these are the fat deposits or adipose tissue, adipocytes which are present there. Okay. So, I tried to make this structure simple so that you kind of get it very clear. So, and this is where the hair follicles and this is where the hair grows, each one of those hairs which you see in your body. Okay. So, this is the overall geometry of the cross section of the skin what you deal with. Now, what we will do in the next class, we will talk about within this epidermis there are 5 different layers. 4 to 5 depending on which part of the skin we are talking about. There are 4 to 5 different layers. We will talk about them. We will talk about the function of each one of those layers, and then we will talk about the dermis, and then we will talk about the special structures like hair and the nails. But before we do so, let us summarize some of the functions. What are the functions? What skin does? Its biggest role is for the protection. It is the biggest surface protection of underlying tissue, shocks, abrasion and chemical attack. Okay. Second thing, it is in the excretion of water in the form of sweat, salt and organic waste. In other words, its integumentary system is also an excretory system. It gets rid of all these unnecessary things from your body. Third, as we have already discussed, it helps in maintaining the temperature by acting either as insulator during the winter months when the temperature is low. When the temperature is high, this upward arrow means temperature is high, it promotes evaporative cooling, which helps to keep the temperature high. This is the fourth one, synthesis of vitamin D, steroid in nature. The vitamin D is a steroid in nature, which is converted into an hormone called calcitriol, and which has a profound role in calcium metabolism. Okay. And apart from it, it stores nutrients in the lipids or the adipocytes, and last not the least is it acts as a sensory apparatus. So, talking about this part, we will come later on this, what exactly is happening. Essentially what happens when you go early in the morning and you get the vitamin D, that vitamin D is actually needed for, you get this UV in the early in the morning, that UV is actually needed for the synthesis of the vitamin D. A precursor of it is already present in the skin, it's produced in the skin. Okay. So, with this we will conclude the first class of the second week, the introduction to the integumentary system. Tomorrow we will finish it off by talking about the layers of the integumentary system, especially the skin, and then we will talk about the basic anatomy of the hair and the nails. Thank you.